Doo-da, doo-da. Hey everybody, Dan Schinder here.
And Steven Schinder here.
On Yesshift, where we talk about everything in the yes verse and the periphery and the outer limits. And if there's ever a band that's part of the outer limits, it's Yes.
Yeah, sometimes even part of the Twilight Zone, you know?
Definitely. So we've got a pretty fun-packed news desk report for you. Lots going on. Can't believe it's February 15th, 2023. Where do you want to start, Steven?
Right. So, well, I guess we should start with the thing that got announced by Yes today, although it first came out via Prague Magazine on their Louder Sound site yesterday, which was kind of weird that it came a day early. But yeah, we got this announcement about Jay Schellen. And so I guess I'll read the... Did you want to read the first bit and then I'll read the Steve Howe quote? Or
Sure. Yes, are delighted to announce that drummer Jay Schellen has joined the band as a permanent member following the sad passing of our iconic drummer Alan White on the 26th of May 2022. Jay will fulfill Alan's wishes in becoming the new drummer with Yes. Jay Schellen was Alan White's choice to stand in during the Topographic Drama Tour in 2016 and shared drumming duties with him from 2018 onwards. Jay had previously played alongside Yes keyboardist Jeff Downs and late bassist Chris Squire, together with long working relationships with Alan and Yes bassist Billy Sherwood, of course. This gave Jay a deep insight to the workings of the dynamic rhythm section that drives Yes music.
yeah, and there's this quote from Steve Howe who said, "We're all delighted to welcome Jay officially into the fold. He's been a great support throughout the last 7 years, and we couldn't have found a better all-around team player."
Yes, and Jay says, "I'm thrilled to become the new Yes drummer. I grew up playing along Yes records." What drummer fan of Yes hasn't? I certainly have, and I still do. That I still feel like a kid. It's just about 60 when I do. Grew up playing the Yes records, and I'm proud to have worked so closely with my musical hero and great friend, Alan White, these past few years. I will strive to honor his memory as we drive towards the future with the band. We interviewed Jay a few months ago. When was that?
Yeah, that was in October. I remember.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah. But yeah, he was a really great guy to talk to, very down to earth, and we learned a bit more about his history. And yeah, so what was your impression when you saw this announcement, Dad?
Before I give you that, I do want to mention something when I reflect back on that interview with Jay. You mentioned down to earth, just a man filled with humility, and that's Alan White. I mean, Alan was so down to earth. Quick story, folks. Like, Alan lived in the neighborhood where I grew up, not while I was growing up, but later through the 80s, the Trevor Rabin years. He lived in West Hills, California, the west end of the San Fernando Valley, part of Los Angeles. That picture was taken with me showing up at Alan's house with Stephen's older brother in my arms, who was like literally a few weeks old. And Gigi, Alan's wife, saw me driving, and I pointed to the back seat. Alex was in the car seat, and we pulled over, and she said, "You got to come show Alan." So I followed her back to the house, and Alan opened the door in Speedos and that tank top and a scuba tank on his back. And I said, and Gigi laughed. I said, "Alan, Halloween is in October in the United States. I don't know what you're thinking here in June or July, maybe it was." And he said, "Well, I'm going next door to fix my neighbor's drain in their pool." That's just the kind of guy he was. And I did not grow up in a wealthy area. This is just Alan and Gigi being a lot of humility. So there's that similarity, which is great, which speaks to how important the chemistry is of band members. And I'm sure that played a lot into, so if someone could play impeccable Yes music just like Alan, but was a complete ass, it doesn't work, right? It's never just about the playing. So kudos to that. So when I first saw this, honestly, I thought, well, we knew he was going to be, like, I was a little surprised at, right? Like, this is the official announcement. So at first I imagined Steve and Jeff saying, "Are you sure? Are you sure? You're sure?" Billy asked him, "Is he sure?" "I'm sure." "Are you sure?" Like month after month. I have a feeling it probably had a bit to do with the business part of it, which sometimes takes time to work out. You put two managers or a set of managers of entertainment in a room, and it's like, I don't want to say it's like watching road work being done where there's two guys doing the work and there's eight other people standing around, but there's just so much back and forth. It's a process. Drum Talk TV just got a bunch of legal work done that we needed, all good stuff, but I can't believe the amount of hours in detail that went into it. So I'm wondering if that's what it is. But it was sort of a surprise. Like wait a minute, is this an old report? Like, what did you think, Steve? But also pleasantly pleased. Jay earned it, and it's great. Great drummer, great guy.
Yeah, like you say, it's nice that they're acknowledging him as an official member, because it kind of seemed like there were some people who were kind of questioning it, I guess, whether it was official or not. But like, I think I felt similar to you. Like when I saw the headline, I was like, well, duh, we kind of knew this was what was happening. But I did kind of wonder if maybe they wanted to wait until after, because, you know, Alan's passing was the reason, and maybe they want to hold off on like saying Jay's now an official permanent member. Like they wanted to give the announcement its own
space. That's valid.
But then I don't know, it's been forever since, you know, the Chris passing and Billy stuff, so I can't remember if there was a similar timeline there. But yeah, it was just kind of weird how they did this. But again, I'm glad that they're still continuing with Jay. Like, even though we expected it, it's still nice that's going on.
Yeah, it is nice to know it's solidified.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So this next person we're going to, because of our schedules, like various things that you and I have to do, like related to work and related to family and friends, it's going to be like a couple weeks before our next episode. So we figured since it's February, we might as well acknowledge Oliver Wakeman's upcoming birthday, February 26th.
Yeah.
So did you want to like, should we talk about his recent updates? Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Great guy. We had, if you missed it, folks, we had Oliver on as well last year. You could dig through our archives, whether you're listening to us on anchor.fm/Yesshift, or if you're on the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/@Yesshift, or here on Facebook. So if you're watching on Drum Talk TV, go over to the Yesshift page, look at the videos album when you have a chance. You'll see Bill Bruford, Steve Hackett, Steve Howe, Oliver Wakeman, list goes on, and there's still some that we're going to get. So check that out. But yeah, let's go with Oliver's updates.
Right. So since the last time we did one of these new updates, the first one he posted after that on February 1st was "What a Day," recording Scott Higgins drums with Carl Groom at Clive Nolan's place whilst receiving acoustic guitar parts from Oliver Day. Meanwhile, Dave Pierce works on the electric guitar parts and the vocal sessions are going on in Surrey. Anam Cara is starting to come to life. Again, Anam Cara is the name of his upcoming solo album. And we have a pic of like the session in the studio that he posted.
Looks like Oliver's house or the engineer's house. His studio looks like it's his house, which is fine. I've done that back in the day. I love that setting, actually. Just go guerrilla gangster recording studio and turn a house into a studio. The cables going through all the rooms and, you know, isolating the drums in a living room once before. And I just love that stuff.
Yeah, and then the next day he posted off from our recording for the new album. The first few songs of guitars and assorted string instruments, which I received yesterday from Oliver Day, were amazing. Back with Scott Higgum and Carl Groom for the rest of the drums today. And then hours after that, he said, another great day of recording drums with Scott and Carl. We're all finished now. I even persuaded Scott to add some, I forget how that's pronounced, a bodhran?
Bodhran, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is an Irish frame drum.
Yes, I remember now. And more guitars to listen to tonight from Oliver Day. And I'm having a great time working on this album.
What do you envision for this, Steve? Sound-wise, Does it sound, just the fact that there's a bodhran leads me to think, maybe this is spreading.
Well, I know he said before that it's Celtic inspired.
Oh, I
So
didn't know that. Okay, that's awesome.
right, yeah. So I'm imagining something along those lines, which is, to my knowledge, maybe the second Celtic inspired solo album by Yes member. I know the Promise Ring from John Anderson was like that.
And Relayer.
Yeah,
There's got to be a
definitely.
bodhran in there somewhere in Sound
Right.
Chaser.
Did you want to read this next part?
Yeah, where are we? 2/3. Busy evening going through the guitar parts. Is that what that's supposed to be? No?
Oh, it's supposed to be February 3rd, but it formats it as a fraction for some reason.
In our notes, yeah. Busy evening going through the guitar parts Oliver Day has sent me over the last couple days. They sound absolutely amazing with a big smiley emoji. I cannot wait for people to be able to hear this record. Aiming to have it recorded, mixed, and mastered by May, that's right around the corner, for release in autumn.
Yeah.
February 5th, not 2/5. Oh, go on.
Yeah.
Did you have a comment about that?
Yeah, and I think we had another pic of him with
Oh,
one of these other guys. And then this next update is actually related to an art piece he got.
okay. Yeah.
So it's which is the next pick we have. It says latest addition to the ever increasing number of Rodney Matthews pieces of art in our house. I recently worked on a piece of music for Rodney based on this piece.
Oh,
Yeah, and yeah, remember we listened to a couple things he recorded with Rodney from like years ago. So
yeah. This
it's
is
really
great. I love this.
yeah.
Look at the detail.
I
I'm
love
zooming in for folks.
yeah, I love that. Having pieces of art like that from these like really great illustrators, it's just makes for a good aesthetic. I love that.
Yeah, that reminds me of a lot of fantasy art from when I was young, like late 60s, early 70s, when I wasn't as young, but but I remember stuff like this, and this is great. I love that.
Yeah. And then do I read this most recent update from the 11th?
Yes, from the 11th, fun day today. Back to work with David Mark Pierce on the electric guitar parts for the new Anam Cara project. Had the drum recordings back today as well, so looking forward to hearing them. It's slowly coming together. That sounds pretty rapid to me, especially hoping to have it done, mixed, mastered by May, which is in our
Yeah.
world 3 weeks away, it feels like.
Yeah, and aiming for an autumn release. So pretty soon we'll be having him to like talk about it, and that'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll have to bring him on again. So
Yeah.
since his birthday is coming up, he's gonna be 51, but in my head I still think of him as being in his like mid 30s, which I'm sure he'd love hearing. But
Yeah.
what do you think overall of his contributions to Yes and to like I guess music in general?
Working backwards to music in general, I think he's keeping, in a big way, classic prog alive without it becoming too neo prog. He's also bringing a contemporary elements to it, which is great. But I really have to say, some people, I don't know how other people feel about this, and folks, chime in the comments. I'd love to know. I like that he's using a lot of the classic synthesizer sounds that his dad and Keith Emerson really, stamped prog rock with, the Minimoog sounds and some other things. And he's a great orchestrator and composer. So I think his contributions overall to music are great, keeping that aspect of music alive, which dried up a lot, especially in the United States through the 80s. And his contributions to Yes are great. We saw him perform live. The initial recordings on Fly From Here, From a Page stuff is just great. And the other ancillary work, the other stuff he's done with Steve Howe is just beautiful. In fact, when I take the doggies for a ride, sometimes if they start barking at people for whatever crazy freaking reason, that CD is queued up and I put on him with Steve Howe and they just mellow out. It's great.
Yeah, and I love the stuff he did with Gordon Giltrap in that box set as
Absolutely.
well.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I echo much of those sentiments. He's a really good collaborator. Like you see how well he works with all these different people, and even like within those Yes sessions for From a Page, I just love the creativity that he was able to inject. Like on the song Turn of a Card, he even provides like backing vocals like behind Benoît, and it goes along so well.
Yeah.
And like keyboard solo on stuff like To the Moment, it's just really adds a lot of gravitas to that. And yeah, he's very busy and very like forward thinking, and it's really great that we have musicians who can like still like do all this and like provide updates so that we are like kept in the loop about it. So yeah, so happy early birthday to Oliver Wakeman.
Absolutely.
All right, so this next item, I found out about this because, well, first off, let me read off a few comments. I see Adam Parrish says, Hi guys, glad it's official that Jay is now a permanent member of Yes. The first solo album of Oliver's, which I bought, was called Heaven's Isle. Definitely worth a listen. Okay.
Yeah, also, I just want to ask Adam, because Adam, I'm sorry, off the top of my head, where are you located? I don't recall where you're located. Let me know. Let us know.
Yeah, I think he lives in England, if I remember correctly. But
I thought so too, but I hoped closer. Only because I need to jam with some Yes musicians.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, I live in a small mountain. They call it a city. It's funny. It's hard for my wife and I to say city, but it's incorporated. So it's a city, not a town. There's like 7,200 people here. There's a couple great musicians here who I'm actually doing a little project with, but I would love to jam with some Yes musicians. And everyone's
people
just so
who could play Yes music, you mean?
Yeah, and I mean in person. I know we can all do the remote thing, but I want to feel the vibe, eat something, play together, and just have that vibe in the room and let it just erupt with Close to the Edge or Heart of the Sunrise or throw a dart. Holy Lamb, for goodness sakes. I'll play Holy Lamb, okay? I just would love that. And we have another comment from Curtis Cords who says, Hey, Stephen, long live Yes. And never mind the older guy. Just kidding.
Yeah, okay, Adam is from Sheffield. And I see Brian Cahoon said, hello, guys.
Over on Jump Talk TV.
And comfortable recording setup. And he also said Wizard of Oz a few minutes ago. I'm not sure what that's referring to. And, he says hardcore Holy Lamb. And then Ezzy Chibiki says very impressive. I'm not sure what that's referring to, but thanks for tuning in.
Hopefully Oliver. Or maybe it's a comment for Jay. Let us know.
Maybe.
Because we don't always see the comments in real time. We might see it a minute later or 5 minutes later. So if there's no reference, like we're just kind of guessing.
Right.
Wait. I got to give Brian Cahoon a shout out because he's a super fan of Drum Talk TV. And I love Brian's constant stream of consciousness in the comments. And like, I'll play like an 8 or 20 minute song and then I'll see all these comments by Brian, but I don't know what the context is. It's great. I love the interaction. We encourage you to do that, folks. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and Brian clarified that the Rodney Matthews painting looked Oz-like, which I kind of see now. Like it does kind of look like some of those illustrations that were made for like the old like Oz books. Yeah.
Is it Oz or Ounce?
Oz, like Wizard of Oz.
It's not an abbreviation for ounce, though. Maybe he was the wizard of weight measures or.
Right. Adam Parrish also said, let's jam out to Sound Chaser sometime.
Yeah. Come to the United States. Come to the United States because I don't move my gear. Or I'll come there if you can supply. Let's figure this out and let's find a guitar player, bass player. Let's get this. Oh, I know the bass player would be, help me. We're friends with him on Facebook. I'm having a senior moment. He has a Rickenbacker like Chris. Dark hair, glasses. I think he's in England. I'm
drawing a blank as well.
Yeah, maybe I should go there because I think he's in England as well. I feel bad. I can't think of his name, especially if he's watching. Good grief.
All right. So
okay, sorry.
This next item I found out about thanks to Simon Barrow posting it on Twitter. And this is a John Davison interview with Ramsey, which From the sound of some of the comments, what seems like it was conducted shortly before the second Arc of Life album came out a couple months ago.
Okay.
But there is some interesting stuff in here. Like you can tell that John Davison, he talks about how John Anderson is incomparable, so he doesn't try to be like him, and that makes it easier for him. So that's really nice.
Does it say anything in there in that regard? I didn't read it yet, folks. Sorry. Does it say anything in there? Do they ask him what's it like, the pressure of people comparing and saying it's not Yes without John, or it's not Yes without, Peter or whatever? did he,
Well, he does get asked, is Yes a continuation of the same band with different members or a separate entity under the same name? And he says, I would say a healthy blend of both. It's an ever-evolving balance. The same question could have been asked when the then current lineup with Steve Howe became a no Peter Banks version of Yes, or the Wakeman version replacing the one with Tony Kaye.
And on every iteration, that question is fair. So it makes it sort of a dumb question, or if we want to give it a little more credit, it's almost a platitude now. Like of course it's a continuation, because that's what's been going on for 54 years.
Yeah. Another interesting little bit here that he revealed is that, he's been touring with John Lodge. I think they have some shows coming up, and apparently he and John's band, 10,000 Light Years, are working on an exciting studio endeavor, which will be revealed in the near future.
Nice.
So, yeah, I don't think we've heard anything about that. Yeah, and I'm just skimming through this to see if there's anything else I caught. Okay, yeah, they mentioned the Relayer tour that's coming up in a few months, but yeah, it's a nice little interview that, again, reinforces the humility that John Davison has,
Yeah.
And, he did mention, like, how Heaven and Earth, like, what went wrong was, like, the producer side of things. He says he has respect for Roy Thomas Baker, but there's just something up, and it just wasn't a good fit. And, Steve Howe has blamed Roy Thomas Baker as well in the past. So
I'm surprised they brought Roy in. If you think back to the Yes Years, film.
Yeah, and Paris sessions.
Yeah, and they're talking about Roy Thomas Baker, and I think it was Trevor Rabin that said, it's like when they were in that backstage just catering room or whatever, and Trevor said, you got this, giant drum sound and a tiny little keyboard sound, and then they end up having him on board so recently. I wonder who else they asked that wasn't available or declined, or if they went straight to Roy, and why they went to Roy. If I don't know, there's a puzzle there that I'd like to have the missing pieces filled in, and I think that's a valid question. I'm not being critical. They're the ones that opened that loop way back then in 1989, 90, or 91. So, like, what's the story behind that? I'd like to know the story behind all the producers besides Eddie Offord. I'd like to know, how did they get Bruce? And Bruce, bless Bruce for creating such a great sound in that album on the Ladder. I wonder if they would have kept using him had he not passed. But don't you agree that'd be nice to hear the stories? Why do you pick this one than that one? Why'd you go to this guy that you criticized X years back? Did he redeem himself with some piece that we don't know about, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, he was complimentary to Steve Howe's approach as producer on The Quest.
Great.
And the other vocalist interview, a really big one. So this was from Rolling Stone, and it was actually Benoît David's, perhaps his first interview in about a decade, after leaving Yes. And this was huge. I was in the barber shop when I saw this, and so I was like reading it while I was waiting. And it was actually before I went to before I got online for the John Anderson Patreon thing, which I'll sum up in a bit. But
okay. Sorry, I gotta corral my doggy out of the way. Stay away from the cables. Okay.
Yeah, but this interview that they did with Benoit really was surprising because it's like, oh, he's finally like talking about all this, and you get like some of the warts of it, but you also get like some of the good stuff that happened. I was kind of surprised when he said he wasn't nervous when he when he like basically auditioned by like singing along with Steve Howe playing a guitar, and because like if it were me, I would be kind of nervous about messing up in front of Steve Howe, you know.
Yeah.
Um, he did mention that Chris was a bit harsh, and you know he goes into more detail,
Oh,
but he
really?
does, yeah, but he does say later that you know things would resolve themselves.
Good.
But you can tell that like you know there's definitely some good and some bad, and it seems like he didn't care much for well, the impression I get is that like the industry, you know, it's a huge beast to navigate through, and sometimes it's not all good. But he
Yeah.
was also respectful in the interview, and I also liked how he said that Oliver was basically his buddy. Like I could just imagine like those two just hanging out like
Yeah.
pals. But yeah, what do you think of all this and like the timing of this?
The timing's interesting because I don't know what it's tied to other than, we've talked about getting him on. Um, and so I don't know what it's tied to, but it's nice to finally have that unpacked by the man himself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you read it, and I haven't, but I want to read that, and I will. It eliminates any guesswork or hypotheses and whatnot. So I'm glad that someone got to him, even though it wasn't us first, which is fine.
Right. Yeah. I was just like interested in seeing that he was like finally able to say something, you know?
Yeah,
And you know, he said that he was asked if he would ever see Yes if they go to Montreal or his neck of the woods, and he said, "Yeah, I think I would. Like I'd try and meet them backstage and whatnot, like something
did
to that effect."
was
But
the issue of Fly From Here covered?
oh yeah, he the interviewer did mention Return Trip, and he was like, "Yeah, I heard that Trevor Horn re-recorded it with his vocals. Good for him." Because and he said that he knew that Trevor wasn't always completely happy with the original version because like he would try to get Benoit to sing like him. So he's like he's not surprised, and it's basically the business, you know.
Yeah, I still think that that's a weird thing. You
Yeah,
know,
like I want both versions available together. But it was also one thing that was nice was how complimentary he was toward John Davison. He said, "Yeah, I've never met him, but I've heard how he sounds, and it's like no wonder that they went with him and that they
yeah.
continue with him."
For the record, no pun intended. I loved Fly From Here with Benoit. I thought he did a great job. He wasn't trying to sound like anybody. Yeah, there's some similarity to Trevor Horn, and now we know more even why. But he sounds like a singer. He sounds like him, and I thought it suited the music really well. And that's from someone who has a reel-to-reel tape of the 1980 Madison Square Gardens bootleg with Trevor Horn that I listened to them play the original Fly From Here, which was one of two songs that didn't make it on the Drama album. So I've had that and listened to it ever since 1980. And then to hear a new singer and then go, oh, that actually works really well. And he did a great job on the album. I was very pleased with it. Hardcore Yes fan since 1970, 71. And then to hear that they just kind of replaced him, I thought that was just so odd. Like, why didn't they just have Trevor from the beginning? The whole
Yeah,
thing, that's just weird. It's almost like you brought it up once and we may have covered this on the show. I don't remember.
yeah, we did an episode on
Yeah,
it. It was one of
about
our early
trying
ones.
to,
Yeah.
did they erase him from the Yes history?
Yeah, and what it came down to was like we know that the Yes fans won't forget that he's like that he did that, and like for me it's easier to sort of um what's the word? like it's a bit easier to accept since like From a Page came out, and I feel like that's a better showcase of Benoit's vocals with Yes.
I agree.
Um,
I
yeah.
agree.
I see a comment from Pete Wilder who said Bruce did a great job on the latter. And I think this next one he says is in regards to Benoit, the tours are grinding. It's not for most folks. So yeah, like some of the touring was like really took a toll on Benoit's voice. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people think that it's so glamorous, and there are some glamorous elements, but it's not like it was a few decades ago where you do a show, you finish it 10 or 11 p.m. and you party till 1 or 2 and you sleep till 10 a.m., then get on the bus or the plane. It's not like that anymore. I remember texting with Todd Zuckerman after the Styx show, the first concert in person my wife and I went to since the beginning of the pandemic back in, I think it was September. And he says, yeah, I gotta get up at 5 to catch the next flight, and it's like, you know, it's just so different now, and it's very grinding, and that's what you get paid for. You perform for free, and you get paid to be away from the family and to travel, and that schedule, and just, you know, there's so many elements that could totally go sideways, and it's not all fun. It's not all
Right.
fun.
Yeah. So this interview is definitely a must read, I would say.
And Adam
And
Parrish is chiming in again, saying, I like both versions of Fly From Here. I think it would have been good to put them together in a box set. Yeah, we both agree. With almost
yeah.
like a program, you know, that would be cool. That kind of tells the story, good, bad, or indifferent, just a honest, here's what
Yeah.
happened,
And
here's what went down, here's why it got redone, here's how that worked.
yeah, and it
Um,
looks like a flight program
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. Oh, ooh, with tickets, boarding passes.
Yeah.
What a great idea, Steve. Airmail
Yeah.
stamp on the box. That's great. Also, I also want to mention for Benoit's sake, the show was great. You know, we saw the
Yeah.
show Asia opened, and then it was them, and he did a really great job live. You know, he sounded wonderful. Had great stage presence. He was a good performer.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember online there was some backlash, but over the years people have been saying, yeah, I prefer Benoit, and it's really funny like how things like sort of evolve over time, you
And
know.
Equalize, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like the backlash, I don't think backlash would exist if he or John Davidson weren't replacing such iconic singers plus member plus founder. Like that would just eliminate all that. If he was in a band and that's the first time you heard of him and it happened to be Yes, and that was like, you wouldn't question it. But it's all, people are so caught up often in comparisons, and so they got to rate them, and you're not worthy, and it's not Yes without so and so. Like, I truly wonder if there's any fans who discovered Yes with the Relayer album, and then with that change going for the one, oh, no more Pat Moraz, no more epics. You know, what's with this commercial stuff and the short songs? I'm never going back. Like, is anyone out there like that's the only Yes to them? I wonder.
Right. I mean, I did recently see someone say that the In the Present tour lineup with Benoit and Oliver, that's their Yes, and that's
Interesting.
yeah, that's like really interesting. About,
I'd
and
like
I
to
love
know,
that.
when did they discover, how did they discover, and what age are they for context? I
Yeah,
wonder.
yeah. So that's that Rolling Stone interview. I also saw there was Forgotten Yesterdays shared a link to another Rolling Stone thing, which I thought was kind of funny because like Forgotten Yesterdays, its caption was like Yes made number 3, woohoo, but the list was um it was something like worst albums by brilliant or bad albums by
I
brilliant
saw that.
artists, and like Union was at number 3, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess.
Um,
But like I wasn't even mad, I was just like laughing because of the caption, like Yes made the list, woohoo.
that is funny. So you not only watched and attended, but participated in John Anderson's most recent Patreon Ask John Anything. Um, tell everybody your question, his answer, and if you don't mind, give a summary recapping some other interesting questions and answers, and of course, anything funny, because John's funny. Without trying to be funny, John's funny. When he tries to be funny, he's even funnier.
Yeah, so this was about a week ago, and John was a little late because he drove to the bank, and I guess there was miscommunication about the time it would start. But he got there, and like the Q&A thing was a fun time. My question, I actually went ahead and asked him your question, which was,
Oh yeah,
what do you think of Virgil Howe's Yes remixes, and like if he knew what any of the other members thought.
Yeah, and for those of you, for context, those of you not familiar with it, was that 2003?
Yeah.
2003 Virgil Howe Yes remixes. It's amazing. It's in general, it's not even my type of music. So I was kind of like I appreciate that. I've got a son-in-law who does electronica music and stuff like that. And because it was, you did this to my Yes music, you did this to my band Yes, it was like I held off, and when I heard it, this is freaking brilliant. I mean, it's so good. If you haven't heard it, and you'll either love it or you'll go, it just won't resonate with you. But you got to recognize the brilliance of it, whether or not it resonates with you. So go ahead.
Yeah, so John's answer, he said, I loved Virgil so much, like I love Steve. He was a gent, and he and Damien, that's John's son, were big friends. And John said he loved the mixes that Virgil did. And he's not sure like what the other members thought. He said something like, I don't like ring them up and like, oh mate, what do you think of this?
I'm kind of surprised, to tell you the truth. I just would think they'd jump on the phone and say, have you heard this yet? It's garbage. Or have you heard this yet? This is amazing. We should do everything like this. I just wonder, like, why not? Anyways, that's so I have a next question. If it doesn't have to be the next one, because you should ask what you want to ask John on the next one. But for the one after that, can I submit one more question to you right now? And we'll also see what everybody else thinks.
Sure.
Ask him which fly from here he prefers.
Oh my gosh.
Benoît or Trevor.
I no.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he probably hasn't listened to either in full, if at all.
If at all, yeah. Or
like
if he
maybe a
knows
little
it.
bit of
Who
the
knows?
Benoit one, but otherwise, like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so I'll run through these other things he brought up in the Q&A. I'm trying to get past like the stuff that he repeated from previous ones.
And by the way, I would like to know what he thought of drama back then, and if he has a different view of it now, whatever the view was then. That's a valid question.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Yeah, the first time you got replaced, how long before you heard it, if you ever heard it, what'd you think? That's a valid question.
Right. So someone mentioned Brian Chatton's book, which said that John did a single called Armageddon with a group called Fragile in the early 70s. And John said he doesn't remember Armageddon, and that Brian's a lovely guy, but might have made it up, like been full of it type of thing. Like he was like being all jokey about it. But he says they should re-release... so 1,000 Hands Chapter 2, I think he said it comes out next year, and that it would be a good idea to re-release 1,000 Hands Chapter 1 like alongside it, so that might be what happens. Let's see.
And wasn't Claire Hamill in Fragile, or she is now?
Yeah, she was in Fragile, yeah. But I think this would have been early 70s, like whether the book said, so it wouldn't even have been the same band, if it was.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. At some point, John said that life is the teacher and the awakening of consciousness is an everyday event, and the journey is to find the divine. It was so February 8th was the birthday of someone on the call. Her name was Erin, and John sang happy birthday to her.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, and John was asked what advice would he give your 20-year-old self, and At first he's like, "Carry on, John. Don't worry." um,
Don't eat
and
so
he,
many magic mushrooms, maybe.
he mentioned how he was kind of going through some tough times when he was 23 while living in, well, maybe not living in, but while uh, in Munich for a bit, and he sat in a field called English Garden and was trying to figure out why he's there, and then he heard a voice that said, "John, nothing matters." And then he went to to the apartment and saw a telegram from his mother saying that a band in Frankfurt wanted him to sing with them.
Huh.
And he brought up the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once again, because, you know, it has that same saying, like, nothing matters, and just how vindicated he felt like seeing that.
Interesting. So what if he was 23, he's 78 now. So where would he have been?
Yeah,
in
this would have been a year before Yes,
Okay.
pretty much.
He's 78. That's just amazing.
Yeah, he says he can't wait for his 80th year, which technically would be when he turns 79.
Right.
So he also mentioned Zamran, and I was trying to remix it again. You know, the Elias of Sun Hilo sequel. He said just started remixing it a week ago, so that'll be 2 weeks ago now. I thought it wasn't right and went looking for another song to put in somewhere. And let's see, trying to make sure I don't repeat what we've already talked about.
Okay.
First album will be called Zamran, Son of Elias. So that makes me think he's gonna, since it's like a 4-hour thing, I'm guessing it's gonna come in a couple volumes.
Yeah.
He thinks
All at
he
once,
has,
do you think? Has he mentioned that? Is it going to trickle out in volumes or big box set?
I don't think he's clarified that, but he says he thinks he has a record company interested, and fingers crossed that it comes out by the end of the year. He also mentioned Opus Opus and how he was originally could call it Hopeless Opus, but then thought that wouldn't work.
Hopeless.
He also said that the record company that was interested in Zamran said the day before this Q&A, if we do a deal with you, could you please do it in surround sound? And John was like, yes. And he also has a dozen songs from people around the world he worked with over the years, which he'll include in Zamran. So,
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and someone else asked him what a typical day in his life is. He says wakes up, dreams a lot, meditates at 4 a.m. every day, which surprised a lot of us to hear 4 a.m. part.
Did you say he drinks a lot in the morning?
No, dream a lot.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I wanted to say, what's he drinking?
And he likes breakfast in bed, listens to Rachmaninoff, stuff like the Piano Concerto 3 while walking, goes into the studio. And over the past 2 years, he's been working on Opus Opus and Zamran. He FaceTimes Mick Byrne, who lives in Ireland. He's the guy who makes like the YouTube videos with the visuals for him.
Yeah.
And they talk about the music and stuff. And when he does grocery shopping, his wife Jane tells him always greet people with love. And so John is like, they reflect who you are. So when he goes to Vons or Walmart, he'll smile at people and be like, hey, how's it going? And
no, it's probably more like, hey, how's it going? Groovy.
Yeah, he also goes to Trader Joe's.
Where's he living now? Is he still in San Luis Obispo area? No, he's in...
he might be like somewhere in California.
Yeah, maybe he is still in that area.
Yeah, and he says he feels tired at 4 p.m. and that's when he has to nap, and then they make dinner and watch a movie. So yeah, it's just interesting to think about like John going to like these everyday places like Walmart, Vons, Trader Joe's. Yeah. Like imagine bumping into him at one of those.
I know that's funny. Breakfast in bed, that's kind of interesting. I don't like breakfast in bed. It's uncomfortable for me to sit in that position with my legs straight out, and then I just there's too much risk of a mess. So I don't. I'm fine not doing breakfast. That's just me. John's 78. He's the yes guy. He can do what the fuck he wants.
Someone asked him if there's any vocalists he's thought of collaborating with, and he's like, Not really, but he remembers Greg Lake and like thought that they could do like Everly Brothers songs. Like I
Oh,
guess that
wow.
was like an idea that he had.
Huh.
Um, and someone he talked about like bird sounds and how he's able to like find them on like the computer and use them for music, and he wants to create an organic soundscape that makes you feel like you're in the woods. um, and he's also said he wouldn't mind touring China and Japan. And at the end, someone asked if he had a Jeff Beck story, and John said that he had heard about him for years and saw a video of him performing last year, and thought that he was unbelievably good and an amazing guitarist on many levels.
Was that the first time he ever saw a video of him?
It sounded like it. Like it
That's
sounded like
weird.
he had heard about him for years, and then that was like his first time.
That's
Yeah.
weird. Talk about being in your own bubble. That's really bizarre.
Yeah. Do you want to read this next news item we have?
Yeah. Roger Dean announced Facebook Live Q&A Friday, February 17th. That's in 2 days, as we're live right now on the 15th. Freya and I will be doing a live Q&A this Friday at 6 p.m. I always forget what GMT is, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
England?
UK time. Right
Okay,
now.
that's UK
Yeah.
time. Okay. So that's that's plus 8 hours to Pacific time US for context. And we'd love for you to join us. Our collaborative exhibition, The Secret Path, has closed at the Chambers Project, and it felt like a good time to talk about the past, present, and future projects. If you'd like to ask a question, please do so in the comments here. We'll be taking questions live as well. We'll be kicking off with questions in the comments of this post, and then there's a link there. You'll probably pop that in for folks, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So that's cool. We'll reach back out to Roger. For those of you who don't know, back in October, Steve and I, was that October or November? It was October.
It was October.
Yeah, we went to San Francisco and we saw the Secret Paths exhibit, and they let us film a documentary, which was really cool. So Steve's tightening that up, and we reached out to Roger shortly before we went there, but then his mother passed and he went back to England, so we weren't able to get with him there, and we're hoping to have him on the show, so we'll reach back out.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to this Q&A. I'm kind of wondering if maybe, well, I guess I'll know after I watch it, like if I should like add some thoughts about it to the documentary.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Yeah, like a little
Maybe at the
addendum.
end, looking forward to what their future projects are and mention them.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah, so that's Friday. I won't be able to watch it. Darn it.
Oh.
Is it going to archive, do you know?
Yeah, it should archive. Like
Okay.
all the other lives he's done in the past have archived.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Great.
And this next thing, there's been this fan-made thing on YouTube from Rael NYC. It's Yes, Relayer, and Solo Albums documentary. And this is I believe this is the same person who made a drama documentary and a Tales documentary. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you remember
so,
the reference of his name? I explained it the first time we talked about one of his works.
it's Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, right?
Yeah, Rael is the character. It's a Puerto Rican gentleman in the story. And of course, it takes place, well, a good part of it in New York City.
Yeah. So I watched this. It's about 36 minutes, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
and-
don't spoil too much. I haven't seen it, but go ahead. Tell me when to go. La, 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 la.
No, I mean, I like the visuals, like the stuff that's provided, like, you know, the photos and what's sort of done with the relayer art, like to make the snake move, like at the beginning.
Ooh,
And, you
that's-
know, I was getting so invested in the relayer talk that I forgot. Oh, yeah, this also talks about the solo albums that came after.
interesting. Are there any interview clips?
I don't think there were. I think what's weird though, I think there may have been a little snippet of the 1978 Lord of the Rings film when talking about like relayer, you know, Gates of Delirium. I'm pretty sure that's
Excuse me.
what it
That's
was.
interesting. And I still have that on VHS, the original animated Lord of the Rings.
Well, I think you gave it to me, and that's what I have.
Oh,
But
you have
yeah,
it then. Okay. Do you remember watching it when you were little?
yeah. I last time I watched it was 3 years ago, I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but later versions have like alternate narration at the very end. I'll people can find that on YouTube. Like just
Interesting.
search Lord of the Rings 1978 end narration or something. You could probably find it.
Cool. So in
Um,
this relayer thing, how is it? Does he tell the story? Is it all
yeah,
done? Okay. Cool.
yeah. Um, and yeah, again, I think it's cool that he does these like um, I guess primers for anyone getting into each of these eras.
Yeah. And looking back that don't know the story.
Yeah. All right. And recently, King Crimson made a post where they said Alex Stormy Mundy was recently sent a 1984 show for addition to the archives and has dusted it off pretty sharpish as he liked it so much. This great sounding audience recording from King Crimson's 1984 North American tour has the band in lively form. Welcome to Santa Cruz.
I saw
So
that tour.
oh yeah, I was gonna ask if that's the one you
Yeah, it
saw.
is. Yeah, at the Greek Theater in LA. And I remember it was not raining, but it was misting quite a bit
Mm,
for a while. And that's one of my favorite concert videos of them doing that tour in
yeah,
Tokyo. Three of a
yeah, that was
Perfect
from
Pair
that
tour.
same year, right?
Yeah, that's just such a great concert. It really is. It blew,
Yeah,
and seeing it blew my mind. It was great.
yeah. And speaking of Tokyo, I see that the original Asia page posted a clip of "Only Time Will Tell" from that Fantasia 2007 concert, which is getting its 3 LP Black Heavyweight release on
Mm,
February 24th, I think. So,
cool.
yeah, just another nice little reminder of that release. Um, let's see. So now we get into a couple like cover related things that
Yeah.
we sort of discovered. So I saw that Trevor Horn shared this one. He shared the cover of Teenage is a video of teenage dads covering "Video Killed the Radio Star," and it sounds really good. And he comments, "I wrote this song 40 years ago and can't believe it still appeals to the youngsters. I particularly like the gag with the telephone." And in the video, like one of the performers has like an old looking telephone
For
that
that like
speaks.
megaphone part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. It would have been, yeah, not to say that's not creative, but I always think of like a Jack in the Box speaker, an old drive-through speaker, and being at the other end of it and hearing the guy say that split screen. But
Yeah.
that's cool.
And this next one is one that you actually sent my way. So this is a little girl named Ellen Alaverdian, or I hope I
Yeah,
pronounced that correctly. Um,
Alaverdian. Yeah, Alaverdian's
Alaverdian.
cover of Roundabout, and I saw her cover a couple things with emulating Bootsy Collins, which is awesome.
Mm.
And um, when I saw that she was talking about she's about to play Roundabout, I'm like, okay, check this out. Now she doesn't play the whole song. She basically plays the rip. Dun, 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 dun. And what impressed me the most is if you haven't seen Ellen, that there's a link there. Steve will pop it in. She's 9 years old, so she's got little fingers. She didn't play it with a pick like Chris does or Billy. She played it with her fingers. And I'm like, how can she even do that? She's 9, she's got little fingers, and she's playing dun, 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 dun. She's finger picking it. It's amazing. It's a few measures of it. It's the riff maybe through 2 or 3 times. Very impressive. She's amazing. She's adorable. I think that's her dad playing the drums in the picture-in-picture part, and who's kind of coaching when she is, he's saying, and what album is it on, and what year, and and she's so adorable. And I wonder, like, people like her and Nandi Bushell. There's been a few other, young prodigies like that are awesome at emulating, but I hope that they grow into their own and can be creative Like, no offense to Nandy, but I've never seen her do a drum solo. Or, well, I mean, it's one thing to be really good at emulating something. It's another thing to have your own creativity. I'm not saying anything's right or wrong. They're two completely different skills. And if you emulate more and more and more types of musicians on your instrument, you will be better as your own creative because it gives you more tools in the toolbox. So I hope if she wants to pursue this as a musician, that she gets creative and finds her own voice, if you will, on the instrument. But she's so much fun to watch. She's great.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people start by having their influences and trying to figure their stuff out, but eventually evolve and make their own material has like some traces of their influences, but can become their own thing,
Absolutely. And then the band Awaken, our friends at Awaken, just shared beautiful duets sung by their vocalist Ron Alonso and his daughter Kaylee. I think that's how her name's pronounced. Yeah, on her wedding day. The song was I Hope You Dance by Lee Ann Womack and Sons of the Desert. Released.
That was very beautiful.
Yeah, that was great. Also, they released a 2-part of keyboard deep dive of Close to the Edge. That was awesome, too. I love that stuff, breaking down iconic pieces of music and techniques and gear and stuff like that. And then more 2023 dates coming up. The soonest being March 4th, Chris Squire's birthday, at the Golden Nugget in Atlantic City, New Jersey. That's awesome. Guys, come out west, for goodness sake. Come to the Northwest, the Pacific West, the Southwest, where I am. I'd love to see you guys in person and say hello.
Yeah, and
jam.
Yeah, and Total Mass Retain also have a show on March 5th at Daryl's house in Pawling, New York. So, yeah, I mean, if people were in like around that area, they could go to one concert one day and then other one the next one. That'd be like a lot of fun.
If someone does that, if any of you do that, send us a review. Send us a review and we'll add it to a news desk report.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so this March 5th show will be Chris Squire inspired. So if I remember correctly, I think this might have a little bit of like Chris Squire solo stuff as well. So I'm very curious to see like what the set list ends up being.
Yeah.
Total Mass Retain also reiterated that the Barnum Ballroom show will not be rescheduled. That's the one where like there are all the health reasons and whatnot. Yeah. But they'll look for a different Long Island venue. And also on February 6th, they posted a tribute to Tim Tobish that reads, "The Yes fans community lost a dear friend, Tim Tobish, known lovingly to us as Timo. In this case, Yes fans community stems back to the days of yesfans.com, where many of us forged brothers/sisterhoods over the dedication, love, and debates surrounding Yes, which evolved into so much more. Preceding Facebook as a central channel of community, it was our home. Timo was a bright star, a huge fan, a great friend, a blast to party with, and a great, good person. We'll never forget you, buddy." So, yeah, it's a really nice tribute. And I hope I didn't mispronounce it. I realized maybe it could be Timo. But,
it's probably Timo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay. You have that SoCal accent.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, it's always tough losing someone, and this was someone part of the fan community, so it's nice that they made that post for him.
Yeah, absolutely. That lives up to the word community,
Yeah. And I also saw that a band called The Complex are going to be covering Yes and other prog band music. So they have a concert taking place April 1st at Stroker's Ice House in Dallas, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time.
That's a 4-hour show. I wonder if they're doing repeat sets or different sets with intermissions or just blowing through it in 4 hours.
Yeah, well, they'll be interpreting Rush's Moving Pictures in its entirety.
Oh, wow.
And side 2 of Yes is Close to the Edge, as well as Machine Messiah. There's actually a video of them rehearsing Machine Messiah on YouTube from last year.
It's
which
a fun song to play.
Plus more selections from other prog giants, Genesis, King Crimson, and Pink Floyd. So that sounds like a kick-ass concert right
For
there.
sure. Yeah, and awesome to them for keeping that music alive and being performed. That's great.
Yeah. And as for Rick Wakeman, he's ever busy. He actually couldn't put out like an actual grumpy old Rick ramblings post for this month
Rambling suppose.
because he's like super busy rehearsing for the Palladium shows. But I saw that he's a guest on this upcoming Anne Margaret album called Born to Be Wild, which I think we have an image of that we can
Yeah.
show. And he's on the song "Teach Me Tonight." Um, yeah, there are some interesting guests on this thing. I see that. Oh, Pete Townsend is on the second track of this, "Bye Bye Love." Um, and there are other names that I don't quite recognize, but yeah, it's like a lot of musicians. Oh,
So,
Slim Jim Phantom is on the track.
oh, interesting.
Um,
So, do you
yeah.
know a Rick Wakeman and Margaret tie from a motion picture?
Um, Not off the top of my head.
So, Anne Margaret was in the movie with Roger Daltrey, Listomania, but it was called Litzomania, Litz.
Oh,
But it was about Mr. Liszt, the amazing composer. And Rick Wakeman plays this almost Frankenstein type character.
oh, is that the one? Yeah, I've seen a clip of that where he plays Thor, but it
Yeah,
looks like a
he's all
robotic
silver
type character.
paint. Yeah, and he was
Yeah,
brought to life. He's on this like mad scientist table, and instead of the big giant like Tesla rods and all this, he's surrounded by all these musical instruments that I'm pretty sure he did the music for.
yeah,
So
he
there's
did the music for Listomania.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the trumpets and all this stuff's blasting at him and it brings him to life and he gets up and he kind of, like a Frankenstein walking for the first time. And then he pulls out this silver hose and pees on the fireplace and puts it out. It's actually pretty funny. But that's the tie of Anne Margaret and Rick Wakeman in a motion picture together. Great movie.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that in full if I can figure out like where to get it. But yeah, Born to Be Wild comes out April 14th, and this last item we have here, this is due April 28th from Cherry Red Records.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so one of Steve Howe's pre-Yes bands, I think it might have been. Well, I don't know for sure. I was gonna say maybe it's the last one before joining Yes, but like
For some
the
reason,
order of it gets jumbled up for me.
yeah,
But
and I'm sorry, the image isn't there, and I'm afraid if I let me just see something real quick.
we don't need to stress about it. But
Okay,
basically, this is Steve Howe's reimagining of Tomorrow's debut album, and it's titled "Permanent Dream."
I love the name. I love that.
Yeah, and the colors on the cup and like the letters like feel like an inversion of the blue and pink Big Generator cover.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the first thing I thought of. Yeah,
Yeah,
darn.
it's
I
kind
don't
of
know
weird.
how I didn't bring that up. I just want to see if it's handy without. Yeah, okay, hold on. I have it. Bear with me.
Okay.
This is worth looking at. Let me just find the right folder. Bear with me, folks. Stand by, and someone that knows what they're doing will be right with you. Here it is. So I'll have. There we go. That is like it took me a while to read that background, believe it or not, and it was like, oh, duh. But that's really neat, and it does remind me of Big Generator, which is really interesting, being that it's not a Steve Howe album. But Permanent Dream, great name, crazy artwork, and I'm sorry, is this a new album?
So this is a reimagining of the first Tomorrow album.
Oh,
Let
I'm
me,
sorry. Okay,
yeah,
great,
let me just look at the description to
great. So Steve's
read it
on it.
word for word. Yeah,
Awesome. Sorry,
um,
I missed that.
yeah.
I was
So
tripping on where's the picture.
yeah, it says a fresh new version of Tomorrow's legendary debut album, reimagined by Steve Howe, post-produced using the technology now available on the balance and edits to enhance and represent what the band were trying to achieve 55 years ago.
So he did it?
Yeah, apparently.
Wow, that's neat.
Featuring some less well-known studio tracks, a new title, running order, and sleeve creating the psychedelic masterpiece they always envisaged. Um, So yeah, I'm very
That's cool.
curious about this. I want to like listen to the Tomorrow stuff as it came out, and then listen to
And
this and sort of
absolutely.
compare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if someone heard the Virgil's Yes remixes first and then went back and heard Heart of the Sunrise, Circus of Heaven, all those. Like, I wonder if they'd have the same crazy, what the heck reaction as the other way, you know?
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say, imagine if someone listened to Yes remixes in the '60s, and it would
Oh,
just like melt their mind.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so like we mentioned earlier, because of our schedules, there's gonna be like a bit of a break between episodes.
Hmm.
On my end, I see that we have March 2nd as the next time we can do this.
Yeah.
Um,
That's not that far off. That's
yeah,
actually,
so
that's only basically a week, 1 week and a few days break. So,
yeah, basically.
yeah, week and a
Um,
half.
so yeah, I there are like a couple ideas we have to like shift around because of like scheduling. So, but
Yeah.
we'll get to that stuff eventually.
Yeah.
I know I still need to like, believe it or not, start reading Trevor Horn's memoir. I've just got like so much going on.
I have it
Um,
right here. I need to dive into it too with my mountain of available time.
right. Yeah. But yeah, so just keep following facebook.com/yesshift and keep an eye on our posts. We'll pin like whenever we know what our topic will be and the exact time it's happening.
And there's other fun stuff that Steve puts up there as well, news and different things as they come out. And you can write us if you have comments, questions, suggestions. We're open to them. And that's yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com. You can listen to us if you're a podcast listener. You can listen to us at anchor.fm/yesshift. We're on all the big platforms. And you can even donate to us if you want. And you can follow us on YouTube at www.youtube.com/@Yesshift.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all in the near future.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.